Hey, Dave Knight here from 123daytrade.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Is it possible 100K off a simple strategy? It's always a dream, right? The dream that you got. I just did 2 weeks back testing, and I need to obviously do some live trading in it to start with. But I'm working on an open strategy right now, and I want to think, Brian comes up with some awesome ideas occasionally. Actually, not occasionally. Usually when he offers up advice, it's words of wisdom that he puts out. I think the way to beat TopStepTrader is and move on to your own futures account if that's your wish, is to find a simple strategy, just do it, and forget about all the rest of the trading inside there. And because after, I've been with TopStepTrader since 2014, August of 2014. So we're physically coming up to my end of the 5th year, coming into in the start of 6th, I guess, in August of 2019. And when I think about my best trades, they're usually the ones that are able to catch at least 1 or 2p at minimum, and on average they win about 50 ticks at least the average of that one contract trading is about, and this is the best. These are the best trades, but the best trades don't come very often. There's a lot of just mediocre trades that come along the way, and that's kind of what I'm going back. And then I got challenged the other day by I am Saint Nick about how I can't trade 2 contracts at TopStepTrader. That's not true. You can trade 2 contracts at TopStepTrader as long as the volatility isn't in extremes where that you have to risk 25 ticks on both contracts, and that loss would bring you over 50 ticks. So in that case, no, you can't. So if the volatility would get to the point where you had to risk 25 ticks per contract on one trade, then no, you wouldn't be able to take on 2 contracts, because it would be minus 50, and minus 50 is failing because you have to figure in commission costs as well. So you'd only be able to do 49, so basically 24 ticks on, or 1 at 25, 1 at 24, and pray that you didn't get killed at slippage, so that you would lose. Because I did that before. Well, I think actually my very first funded account that I had, I put in my stops off of 2 contracts, and I miscalculated, and it took me out. I was like, whatever the commission cost was, like $4 or $5 over. I had a tick slippage. Actually, I had 3 tick slippage on that particular trade, if I remember right. And I had planned for 4 ticks, but it went 6. So I was 2 ticks over, and I lost my funded account because I was up over $500 on my loss. So that's when I stopped pretty much trading 2 contracts, because it was a very painful experience to get knocked out a funded account by my 2 contract strategy. You see that I have a 2 contract strategy. If you watched anything that I've done, I actually have a 2 contract strategy that I would love to implement. The problem that I run into is max daily loss. So and then obviously in a losing streak, max daily loss, hitting 35 to 40 ticks a pop in 4 days, you're going to in a 4-day losing streak inside futures trading happens. It doesn't happen very often for me, but it happens. Anyway, so all that being said, I'm going to throw out some ticks. This is 2 contract trading over the last 2 weeks as I went and back tested on 2 contracts. I'm just going to throw out the total ticks without commission cost of what I would have done just trading over the last 2 weeks based upon first contract out at 1p, second contract out at 2p, and not worrying about anything outside of that. And then, you know, following all the other rules that I will take a reversal. If I go long first trade, I'll take a reversal going short off the open. I won't reverse a short to a long, but I'll reverse a long to a short. And that's just my own personal preference of how I would handle things. So, and I think the last 2 weeks are kind of cool to look back at, because the week prior was a negative week without much volatility. We had volatility, but it was a down week, and this week was an up week. So you see both sides of the equation. What needs to be worked on is periods of time where it's kind of flat, right? When it flattens out. Because honestly, what I can tell you right now is every one of these over the 2 weeks had an ADR really close to 2.0. So what we need to do is find out when the low volatility is and how it operates in low volatility. And if so, what I'm trying to say is that it's not perfected, but it's promising. It's very promising right now. So anyway, last 2 weeks I went back. This is from 21st going back to the 10th. So reverse order coming this way, 21st, 20th, so forth to the 10th. So last 10 trading days. All right, here's the numbers I came up with. 2 contracts. 28, these are ticks. So you just, and I will come up with a total here in a minute. 28, 72, 75, 71, minus 11, plus 2, 50, 45, 78. If you add all that up, at least I added it up twice, make sure, double check my math if you want to. That's 399 ticks. You think, oh well, 399 ticks times 10 is 3,990. Now that's and how I came up with a 6K number was I took 400 ticks times 24 weeks, and that comes up to $104,000. So anyway, that's 10,400 ticks, and then times that by 10. You come up with 104,000. So even if it did half of that, that'd be $52,000. That's more than enough to pass TopStepTrader. So some of the things that I wrote down here: 2 contract open strategy, get position bracket 7:59 a.m. CST, determine possible bracket, entering 2 contracts, challenge reversal and break even quickly. What is the profit target on first contract? I would argue that should be 1p. How far on a stop loss? 1/2 R to 1 R. What days work best? Backtest. You know, I'm not much of a fan of backtesting, but I wrote down once you backtest, and so I backtested back to the 10th of June. Obviously, if I wanted to go back further, I'm more of a fan of forward testing in a live market. So that's what I'll end up doing, is I'll be forward testing the open strategy over the next, pretty much for the summer probably, and see where I end up at. And even if I do fail back to, if I do fail this particular funded account, then I'll move back into step 2. I'll continue to use the open strategy, see if I can, and stop trading. I mean, honest to goodness, shut down the system after the open trade's over. Or if I'm going to have it open, you know, try to keep my fingers off the trigger finger, right? My best trading comes from, you know, just low entries, not having many entries. Once I start, like I talked about, not much good happens in my trading after 5 trades. So it'll be a challenge just to handle just one trading day, and the goal of this is just like I talked about anyway. So let me see here: how to trade contracts. One quickly moves to break even, second holds out for full stop loss until 1p or better, question mark. How often is 50 ticks run, percent? Go back, go 2 weeks just to check out what you think. So over the last couple weeks, I've noticed that the open has been, yeah, and everyone that knows anything about trading know that the open can be a powerful period to trade if it's good in the market that you're trading. So anyway, so that's kind of the thought process that I'm going through right now. And I got up about, honestly, I woke up at 5:45 and I was wide awake. And I thought, you know what? Let's go back, because I know that CTS will sometime around 10 a.m. my time, they lock out the computer system until Sunday, so they put it down for about 24 hours. So usually it's about 9 a.m., 10 a.m. you can't access, you know, your platform until Sunday, close to the open of on Sunday, about what, 6 o'clock my time, when the crude oil market reopens up on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. So there's about a 24-hour window that you're not able to access. I don't like going back and reviewing my stuff on a Friday. I like to go on a Saturday and review my trading week. And what the epiphany that came to me, and I'm sure other traders have this epiphany before, less is better. So I've thought that philosophy for a long time as it relates to trading. If I could figure out a way to make 5 figures or 6 figures, high 5 figures to 6 figures, just trading one trading strategy, and then have the rest of my time to work on things outside of trading, you know, developing something that, and then being able to sit back and backtest. So for me, the overall goal is to continue to trade at TopStepTrader, but it become basically, quote unquote, just an income source that funds other things that I want to do. So Bryant got me thinking. He said, you know, the people that and I am exactly the same way. When I started at TopStepTrader, the challenge I had is, can I get into funded with their rules? And the rules were a lot harder back in the day. Now the rules are a little bit easier, but you have a rolling fee that comes out. Think of it as an investment, think of whatever you want it, but there's a fee that's coming out. One of the advantages that you have right now is that there is no fees, there is nothing coming out once you get into the pro trading account, pro funded account. There's no $150 fee or whatever you're paying per month, and there's no reset fees. You know, if you do fail, you go back down to step 2, and you have 30 days, 30 calendar days to get back. In this case, I'd have 30 calendar days to make $2,000 and move back to the, and then you go back into the pro funded account, working your way back up to the $5,000 again with, I believe, a brand new zero. You end up paying $99 for that step 2, and you have a 30-day period of time before the, in my case, the $150 fee would kick in again. So what that'll end up doing is freeing up the time that I need to free up for the summer to make some income outside of trading right now. So if it does work, which, you know, it within a year period of time, if I've made 50, high end 100, now can you imagine? I haven't made 100,000 in trading in I think since 2004. I think that's last year I've made over $100,000. 2004. It was 2005. It was a year after my dad passed away. So it's been over, and I had a pretty good year in 2008, and I had a decent year in 2011, pretty good year in 14, and 17 or 16. Then I've had some, mediocre years. And I'm thinking positional trading right now. But day trading, no, I haven't been successful as a day trader. I've already told you that many, many different occasions. And I think maybe the key to the less is better. I want to go with that. I'm going to go with less is better. And it's going to be tough to walk away on a day where you're up, 50 plus ticks, and you want to continue on that day. I mean, I know it'll be tough for me. It won't be hard if I take a max loss to walk away from that day, because I'll say, all right, well, if I go over 30 ticks, I'm done on the day. So, and basically, if you take one at like take one at minus 10 and the other at minus 20, you're already at minus 30 just off of that first trade, right? So it'd be easy to walk away after one contract loss at a full loss. So you just say, all right, that day didn't work, minus 300, move on to the next day. Maybe the next day you win 55 ticks, and then you're up 55 and you lost 30 the last day, and so you're still netting a good amount of money. So that's where I am right now. It's my thought process. I'm kind of excited. I'm going to look at. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to not be sitting in front of a computer screen and not pushing a button. That is probably the most difficult thing that I'll have to deal with, and that's an issue that I have, to be able to walk away on a day that I've won big. Some of the days that I just talked about, they were what, 72, 75, 71, 78. I mean, those would be tough days to walk away from, thinking that you're 30 ticks away from 100 ticks. So maybe that on days that you're up really big, you take one extra trade. If you get in there and you still finish up at 50, I don't know. I mean, we just have to play that by ear as I figure out how I want to go at it. So you max out your winning days and you minimize your losing days, right? So there's food for thought in that process. But I think that would be a better thing to do in an account that's unassociated with a TopStepTrader, because there's just too many rules. That 500 max daily loss comes quickly. I talk about that all the time. One contract trading, two contract trading right there, what I just mentioned would be minus 30, and I always thought, well, I can't even trade two because that'd be minus 60, or then I'll be running against minus 50 very, very, very quickly off of two trades. But if I limit myself to just one trade at TopStepTrader on two contracts, it's doable. And I mentioned before where you would have to scale back when the volatility would get so high that you can't, and that would be, historically, have to get up probably up over 4 on the ADR, so you'd be having to risk double the 20, so 20 would be a half R, and if it would get up to what, 5 ADR, then that would be half R is 25. So it very quickly, you can figure out 25 plus 50 is 75 ticks. That's well over the risk parameters that you got at TopStepTrader. But if you can keep it within, say, 30 to 35 to 40 on your maximum loss, then if you have a day that you lose 300, 400, it won't kill you as bad as the next day. Hopefully you pull out half of it, or you get a better day the next day. But obviously you're looking to not lose 3 to 4 days in a row. If you do, then obviously you would, right at the beginning, you're going to fail your combine, your funded account, your pro account, whatnot. So I know how I am. Once I've got some losses, I press a lot harder. I'm pretty damn good on winning weeks, but when I've got losses in a row, I start pressing a lot harder in my trading. So that's where the because it comes back to, I want to get out of the hole. Everybody doesn't want to be, if you're anything like any average normal trader, you don't want to lose any given day, and you certainly don't want to lose any given week. You definitely don't want to lose as a day trader any given month. So So you start pressing a lot harder to try to get out of the hole. I know that's certainly what I did on Thursday, and certainly what I did on Friday too, because I wasn't satisfied with being up 20 ticks on Friday. I wanted to get 50. So instead of finish positive, I ended up going a little bit on the negative side before I quit. So, and that has a lot to do with pressing very hard on Friday in a market that didn't want to take off, and also in an area that I already was down what, $750 coming into Friday's trading overall. So it's, you know, I gave up most of my gains on Tuesday and Thursday, and I was very frustrated basically coming into Friday. So it got me thinking though, and I appreciate Bryant with his little comment. And obviously it's been over 5 minutes, even though this thing hasn't gone, Kip. With 21 minutes of talking, and you know what? I guess it's time to go. But just let you know what's on my mind right now on a Saturday afternoon. Excuse me, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I'll keep you out. I'll let you know what's going on. That's about it right now. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you. If any comments, feel free to comment down below, and I will see you and talk to you in the near future. So I know what I'll be doing over the next for the summer. Trying to relax as a trader and moving to the next step to get to premier funded account, right? But anyway, so long story short, I might end up in step 2 to have to go back to the pro funded account, because if I lose 2 days in a row on this particular strategy, I'm going to be back in. So if Monday and Tuesday end up being failure days on 2 contract strategy, I'm going to be back in step 2. If I get lucky enough that one loses and the other wins. One thing I'm going to find out real quick is if I go past minus 682, if it shuts me down, or if it works like the combine where you can go underneath that number. I'm not real sure. It doesn't really say in any of the stuff that I've noticed that if you go underneath your max trailing drawdown and fake money, if it shuts you out. I know it shuts you out in your funded account. If you go underneath your max trailing drawdown, it will shut you out. I don't know how it works on. I don't know how it works in the pro. Hopefully, I don't have to experience that. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And if it does happen, which obviously it can, because I'm less than 500 away from hitting max trailing drawdown right now. So 2 losses in 2 days in a row with losing is going to put me back in step 2. So I'm going to try my best to pull out of the hole, and I just got to hope that Monday and Tuesday are profitable enough to get me far enough away that I can handle 3 losing days in a row. If I can get myself back to where I can, that the market has to knock me out 3 to 4 days in a row, then I stand a good chance of moving, I believe, to the next step right now. So I guess that's about all. That's almost, 25 minutes of me talking. So, God, if you made it that far, you're listening to my mental notes here being spoken, and then how I wrote things down. So be interesting experiment, see how it works out for the summer. We'll see you on the next video I put together. This is Dave Knight here from 123daytrade.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.